The Cecil Soil Conservation District proudly presents Paul Raech as our 2012 Outstanding Cooperator of the Year. In 1945, Paul and his family moved from Darby, Pennsylvania to Hacks Point in Cecil County. In 1958, he graduated from Cecilton with 20 classmates. Paul attended the University of Delaware for 2 months before deciding school wasn't for him. Since his father was a carpenter, Paul decided to work alongside his father and learned valuable life skills from this experience. While working in carpentry, he held a temporary job at Thiokol in Elkton, and then one with the Ben Shaw Company as an X-ray technician. Paul returned to Thiokol the next year to work as a quality control area supervisor. He was part of a team that developed and built the rocket motors for the mission to Mars, sub-rockets for missiles on submarines, and land-to-air missiles. While bowling on the Thiokol League, Paul was introduced to his true love, Barbara. They were married on April 11, 1964. From the beginning of their relationship, Paul made one thing clear.
I love you, but my first love is honey.
Exactly what he told me.
In 1972, Paul was working with his father on a tenant house at Money Point Farm when he was approached by the farm owner, Alonzo G. Decker, Jr. Mr. Decker asked if Paul would be interested in managing the farms, since he was looking to acquire another farm. Paul said yes. The following year, while in the process of purchasing the Salem farm, Mr. Decker discussed the final plans with Paul. Mr. Decker offered Paul a challenging new future, so he left his job at Thiokol after 15 years and became the farm manager. In 1973, Mr. Decker completed the purchase of Salem Farm from Bob Miller. This farm is where Paul and Barbara raised their children. Paul's first project was to burn down the old house and build a new home. With help from his father and brother, Paul constructed a new house. He and Barbara moved into their new home in March of 1974, and they still live in that home and enjoy the tranquility of this scenic farm today. Salem Farm is located in the southern portion of Cecil County, at the corner of Stemmers Run Road and Grove Neck Road. The 287-acre farm is bounded on the northeast by Pond Creek. The property consists of rolling crop fields, mature forest, wetlands, and streams, with 161 acres dedicated to wildlife habitat. James Cotton, the farmer of Mr. Decker's properties, taught Paul all about farming. After the passing of James Cotton, Paul took over the farming of all 3 properties for Mr. Decker. The farms were managed primarily for wildlife and hunting purposes, which were Mr. Decker's main goals for the land. At Money Point Farm, another of his properties, turkeys from western Maryland were raised and released. An average of 1,500 ducks a year were also raised and banded there. Banding the ducks was just one of the jobs around the farm that Paul and Barbara's daughters, Paula and Donna, helped with. The family raised livestock, including goats, pigs, and beef cows. Donna was a member of 4-H and enjoyed showing her steer, a reserve champion. Today, Paula and Donna's families live on the farm and enjoy spending time with Paul and Barbara. Family activities and events occur each year on the farm, and Paul's entire family enjoys the beautiful setting and habitat. Paul and Barbara enjoy having their family pulling together, but also enjoy the peace and quiet of time alone with one another. Paul's introduction to the Soil Conservation District began when he attended the district banquet to accept the 1972 Cooperator of the Year award on Mr. Decker's behalf. In 1973, Paul began working with the district conservationist, John Bailey, to repair a deep gully along Grove Neck Road and to install a sediment control pond. Paul has managed Salem Farm to conserve the natural resources, enhance the wildlife habitat, help reduce erosion, and protect Pond Creek, which runs adjacent to the farm. Installing best management practices with the district has allowed him to work toward those goals. With the help of Ted Haas, a Maryland Cooperative Extension agent, Paul learned about good land stewardship. In the mid-1980s, he pioneered the use of a tie no-till drill in the county to plant small grain as a cover crop, used to reduce soil erosion and take up excess nutrients from the previous corn crop. This interest in reducing soil loss soon led to the purchase of a new no-till corn planter. Paul also purchased a wick bar to experiment with new herbicide applications to treat volunteer corn and weeds in soybeans. He mounted the wick bar on his tractor and conducted demonstrations. In 1983, Paul joined the Board of Supervisors with the district to replace George Smith. He hosted field days to share the conservation message from his outdoor classroom. In 1985, mature timber was harvested from the farm, and more than 1,000 paulownia trees were planted. Over 8.7 acres of waterways were installed on the farm to help control sediment runoff. In 1986, a diversion was installed to direct water into the waterways that outlet into the pond. A second sediment control pond was installed in 1989 in the backfield. The pond traps sediment on the farm and serves as another waterfowl sanctuary. A pipe drop structure and diversion were installed to prevent gully erosion from forming in the steeply sloped fields. In 1991, 11.5 acres of cropland were placed into the Conservation Reserve Program. The ground was classified as highly erodible land and was planted into a grass-legume mix for wildlife. Paul and Barbara received the William D. Cecil Award for Cecil County's Outstanding Farming Couple of the Year in 1994. In 1999, the centennial celebration of the NRCS Soil Survey was held where it all began, in Cecil County, with Paul hosting the event. A crowd of dignitaries, students, soil scientists, and many other curious visitors enjoyed a day at Money Point Farm, overlooking the Sassafras River. Paul provided farm tours to showcase conservation practices and the natural beauty of the area. A soils pit presented an opportunity for students to learn about the taxonomy of the Maryland state soil, sassafras. In 2001, Paul was recognized as the Maryland Wildlife Farmer of the Year by DNR. When Mr. Decker passed away in 2002, Paul inherited Salem Farm. That same year, Paul applied to the Maryland Agricultural Land Preservation Foundation to pursue preserving his farm. In 2005, the farm was placed into the Ag Preservation Program under permanent easement to preserve the family farm for future generations to enjoy. Paul enrolled 26.4 acres of environmentally sensitive land into the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program in 2006. 25,000 loblolly pines and 1,000 bald cypress trees were planted to help promote wildlife habitat on the highly erodible land. Paul recognizes the environmental benefits of planting trees on Salem Farm. In 2008, the pond's riser and barrel were replaced, keeping wildlife plentiful on the farm. Today, Paul and his friends continue to manage the population of geese that frequent the pond. In 2010, 360 arborvitaes were planted as an 1,800-foot wind shelter and privacy fence along Stemmers Run Road. Now retired, Paul misses the joy of operating his John Deere combine. Today, the cropland is leased to Paul's lifetime friend, Ronnie Miller. While serving as the chairman of the board, Paul and the district received many awards, among them the 2010 Outstanding Soil Conservation District of the Year. Paul was passionate about the district's role in providing information and education for the conservation of Cecil County's natural resources. He helped the district develop a soil and water education program for all county fourth graders in partnership with the Fair Hill Nature Center. Paul was committed to the annual County Envirothon competition, helping prepare high school students for higher education. He hoped that investing in conservation education would provide a strong foundation for future leaders, educators, and stewards of the land. Paul enjoyed serving on the district board for over 29 years. Seldom could he be found without his traveling sidekick, Duty Hevelo. Paul continues to value the wildlife, habitat, and cropland that surround his home and enjoys riding around the farm in his golf cart. And most importantly, having family close by. The Cecil Soil Conservation District honors Paul Raech for his commitment to soil conservation and the wise management of our natural resources. Thank you, Paul, for your vision, leadership, and service to the cooperators of Cecil County.